Happiness was never hiding in success, money, relationships, or recognition. It was hiding in the one place people avoided most, their own inner world. A person spends years searching outside, believing happiness is a destination, a reward, or a condition that arrives after something is achieved. But Carl Jung believed happiness is not achieved. It is remembered, because the soul already knows it. The tragedy of modern life is not suffering but unconsciousness, because an unconscious life forces a person to live according to borrowed values, borrowed desires, and borrowed dreams, and no borrowed life can ever feel happy. A person wakes up every morning carrying expectations that were never chosen consciously, obeying fears that were never examined, running toward goals that were never truly theirs, and then wonders why joy feels empty even when success arrives. Jung believed that happiness begins the moment a person turns inward and asks a dangerous question: who am I when no one is watching? This question disturbs the false self, the mask, the persona, created to survive society. The persona smiles when it wants to scream, agrees when it wants to resist, and pretends strength while hiding fear. Society rewards this mask, but the soul suffers silently. Happiness disappears not because life is cruel, but because the soul is ignored. The more a person identifies with the mask, the more distant happiness becomes, because happiness belongs to the real self, not the performed one. The first secret of a happy life is accepting the shadow. Jung said that the shadow is not evil. It is simply everything we refuse to see about ourselves. Anger, jealousy, weakness, selfishness, fear, lust, insecurity. These are pushed into darkness not because they are harmful, but because society judges them. A person who denies their shadow becomes controlled by it. The anger they refuse to acknowledge controls their reactions. The insecurity they deny shapes their relationships. The jealousy they suppress poisons their peace. True happiness begins when a person stops pretending to be pure and starts becoming whole. When the shadow is acknowledged, it loses its destructive power and becomes a source of strength, honesty, and self-understanding. A person who integrates their shadow no longer needs to prove anything. They stop competing for validation. They stop being threatened by others' success. They stop performing goodness and start living truth. This creates a deep inner calm that looks like confidence but feels like freedom. Jung believed that inner conflict is the greatest thief of happiness. Most people are exhausted not because life is hard, but because they are fighting themselves every day. They want one thing and do another. They feel one emotion and express another. They live two lives, the outer and the inner, and the tension between them slowly drains joy. Happiness returns when these two lives begin to align. Another secret of happiness is learning to sit with discomfort instead of escaping it. Jung warned that people who avoid suffering avoid growth, and people who avoid growth avoid happiness. Pain is not the enemy, unconsciousness is. When a person faces loneliness instead of numbing it, faces fear instead of distracting from it, faces confusion instead of rushing for answers, something unexpected happens. The psyche reorganizes itself. Growth occurs naturally. Strength emerges quietly. Happiness begins not as excitement, but as stability. Modern people chase constant pleasure, but Jung believed happiness is not excitement. It is meaning. Pleasure fades quickly, but meaning sustains the soul. A meaningful life is not free from pain, but it is free from emptiness. Meaning arises when a person lives in alignment with their inner truth, even when it is uncomfortable. A person who chooses truth over approval may lose popularity, but gains peace. A person who chooses depth over distraction may feel lonely, but becomes whole. Happiness also requires accepting life's opposites. Jung said that light cannot exist without darkness, and joy cannot exist without sorrow. A person who demands constant happiness is unknowingly demanding psychological death, because life is movement between opposites. When sadness comes, the unhappy person resists it and suffers twice. The happy person allows it, learns from it, and moves through it. Happiness is not the absence of negative emotions. It is the ability to contain them without losing oneself. Another profound secret is releasing the need to be understood. Jung observed that the moment a person stops demanding understanding from the world, inner peace begins. Most suffering comes from unmet expectations, expecting others to behave a certain way, understand us, appreciate us, or validate us. When these expectations collapse, resentment grows. Happiness returns when a person realizes that being misunderstood does not diminish their truth. Silence becomes strength. Solitude becomes nourishment. Relationships play a major role in happiness, but Jung warned that many people use relationships to avoid themselves. They seek completion, healing, and identity through others. This creates dependence, not happiness. A happy relationship is formed by two whole individuals, not two wounded halves. When a person befriends their own mind, understands their own emotions, and stands comfortably in their own company, relationships become a choice, not a necessity. Love becomes freer, lighter, and more genuine. Jung also believed that happiness requires listening to the unconscious. Dreams, symbols, intuitions, sudden emotions. These are messages from the deeper self. Ignoring them creates inner conflict. Honoring them creates harmony. A person who trusts their inner guidance may appear unconventional, but they live with an invisible compass that keeps them aligned. Happiness is not following rules, it is following resonance. Another hidden enemy of happiness is comparison. Jung believed comparison destroys individuality. Each soul has a unique path, rhythm, and purpose. Comparing yourself to others is like judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree. The moment comparison stops, gratitude begins. The moment gratitude begins, happiness deepens. A grateful mind cannot remain unhappy for long. Happiness also grows when a person accepts responsibility for their inner state. Blaming the world, people, circumstances, or fate gives temporary relief but permanent helplessness. Jung believed that maturity begins when a person realizes, what disturbs me in others lives within me. This realization is painful but liberating. It returns power to the individual. Happiness increases as responsibility increases. One of the most misunderstood ideas is that happiness means comfort. Jung believed comfort weakens the soul. Growth happens at the edge of discomfort. A life designed only for ease becomes shallow, restless, and anxious. A life that includes challenge, struggle, and self-confrontation becomes meaningful and calm. Happiness grows from self-respect, and self-respect is built through effort, honesty, and courage. The final secret of happiness is accepting imperfection. Jung said that the desire to be perfect is the desire to be dead, because life is imperfect by nature. A person who accepts their flaws stops being ashamed. A person who stops being ashamed stops hiding. A person who stops hiding starts living fully. Happiness blooms in authenticity, not flawlessness. In the end, happiness is not something added to life. It is something revealed when false layers fall away. When the mask loosens, when the shadow is embraced, when the inner voice is honored, when meaning replaces pleasure, when comparison ends, when responsibility begins, when imperfection is accepted, happiness appears quietly, not as excitement, but as deep inner peace. It feels like finally being at home within oneself. And according to Carl Jung, a person who is at home within themselves carries happiness wherever they go, because it no longer depends on the world outside, but flows from the soul within. And this is secret of a happy life. Thanks for watching. Please like and share this video.